Hey hashtag moms, this is Drea from the hashtag moms journal, and today I am back with another book summary, and today I'm going to be talking about Mom Brain by Dr. Ilyse Dobrow DiMarco. So you probably have heard of this term mom brain if you are a mom, and basically the concept behind this is how overwhelmed our brains are, or having brain fog, or just the changes that happen to you when you become a mom. If you carried and birthed your children, then of course physically your body has changed, your hormones do change. You know that we actually are having physical and emotional and mental changes. But if you adopted, or there are other ways that you became a foster mom or a stepmom or whatever the case may be, obviously having children around also is affecting your brain, your emotions, your clarity of thought and ability to focus on a task. If you're a mom, I'm not telling you anything new. So this book is by a psychologist, as I said, Dr. Dobrow DiMarco. And it's research-based about some of the most common issues that come up for moms and feeling overwhelmed and dealing with this idea of mom brain. So I had been having this book on my list for a little while, and I will have to be very honest that it intimidated me a bit because the audiobook is 11 hours and 36 minutes. And so the physical book is an introduction and 12 chapters, and then there's resources and like a values worksheet that you can do. But I generally listen to books as audiobooks because that's what works for me as a mom of toddlers. So I was thinking, yeah, wow, this is a lot of hours. So if you're intimidated to listen to this book, you could maybe do what I did and approach it like a podcast. So I approached it about how much time I would spend listening to a podcast every day. So the reason that this book is so long is because it is quite comprehensive. Like I have to say that about it. It didn't feel like it was really heavy on the research or really heavy on the practical situations or really heavy on the storytelling. It really was comprehensive in terms of giving you all three of those things, and also giving you several different categories of things that affect moms. And one that I haven't heard as much in other books is holidays and vacations, and dealing with, going to special events and having vacations and stuff with your kids, which is the last chapter. And part of what's comprehensive about it is she definitely has a take what works for you attitude. So she's not coming in and saying, well, everyone should approach it like this, or these techniques should always be used. She might say, well, in this situation, maybe you want to use this technique, and in this situation, you're going to not like that at all. So even within your own personality of saying what fits for you and what doesn't, like different occasions might be different. So I think that's part of the reason why it is so long and comprehensive, is that she's really trying to promote this, take what fits for you, as opposed to you should and you must and this is the best strategy. But the main things that you're looking for in terms of your mental and emotional changes, your relationships with your partner, with your friend, with family, even overbearing family members or having lack of family member support, your self-care, social media, perfectionism, redefining who you are, like those topics that really majority of mothers are going to be thinking about are all approached in this book. And it's based in cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm going to explain my understanding of it, but of course you can go to an expert, an actual therapist who will give a better explanation. But cognitive meaning thinking, and behavior meaning how you act. And so it's really a form of therapy that's about talking through your thoughts and your behaviors and reassessing them, and exposing yourself to new experiences, and trying to change some of the things that don't serve you, because maybe some of your thoughts actually serve you, and you just feel like maybe society or family or someone is telling you that that's not a good thought for you to have, but for you personally and your family, that thought serves you. But if those thoughts are not serving you, then you want to start to take actions and reassess. So one of the best ways it was described to me in the book was giving the example of realizing you're thinking about a statement or an idea as opposed to just saying it as fact. So I'll use something from my own personal experience. So I might think, oh, my kids are gonna feel unsafe and unstable because we move around so much. We've moved around a lot since my kids were born. So instead of thinking that, I could think, I'm having the thought that my kids are going to feel unsafe and unstable because we move around so much. And even just by reframing that to say I'm having the thought and not that it's fact as a thought, gives me some distance from my thought and then allows me to examine, is this a true thought? What are the evidence I have that goes against that they're going to feel unsafe and unstable? And if it comes to need more attention than that, okay, if this is a true thought, then how would I deal with that? Or what are the things that I can control in this situation, and what are things that I can't? So that was kind of my understanding of cognitive behavioral therapy, distancing yourselves from your thoughts and your behaviors and examining them, and then going back in with really practical kind of small exposure or steps to approach them in a different way. So without giving too much into, what the book says about each of the topics, I do want to say some things that you might want to know before going in. So she does use some strong language. So, if you're uncomfortable with cursing, that would be something to know before you go in. She uses this term that toddlers are assholes. That comes up a lot from moms, and she kind of agrees with this, says they're not being assholes on purpose, but she does use this term. So that kind of language you can expect. And there's also some stories that could be triggering for you. For instance, she talks about moms thinking that, having the thought that they wanted to throw their baby out the window or harm their children when they're feeling really stressed, and is most often of the time, these moms aren't going to do these things, and it's just an indication that they're overstressed, that they need more help, and things like that. But just so you know that if you are one of these people who wants really, warm and cozy language, that her style is very direct and forward. And she tries to be really realistic, I think, first because she wants you to know that other people have these experiences too. And so often people come to her thinking like, oh, no other mom would think like this, or I'm a bad mom because of this or whatever. So I think she is really forward that, she as a mom has had certain thoughts, and moms come in with these thoughts, and it doesn't mean that they're going to do it. And it doesn't mean that that's actually what they really feel, but it could be an indication of something else. So that's something that's good to know. So some of the books that I have read previously do tend to focus on pregnancy and when your children are quite young, which works well for me because my kids are toddlers. But in this book, she does talk about different phases of motherhood, and she talks about moms who aren't in heterosexual relationships. So she talks about mom couples. She doesn't talk as much about fathers because the book is about mothers and mom brain. But she does talk a little bit about fathers, but she does talk about mom relationships. And I've heard that sometimes they have it easier in terms of balance because they both take on the load of mental load and all that kind of stuff a little bit more naturally. But she talks about some of the challenges that have come up in examples of their relationships as well. So yeah, that being said, I think this book could speak to a lot of moms in different types of relationships and whose kids are different ages, because you can go to the chapter that appeals to you and you can read it and feel like the information that works for you will work for you. And she also goes into, if these things don't feel like enough for you, then it might be the case that you do need to meet with a therapist and you do need to dig deeper into some of the thoughts and feelings and habits and trauma or history that you have. So I hope this was helpful to you to hear this summary of Mom Brain, and please let me know what book I should summarize next.